but they're taking away these movies and it's just nonsensical. Like, what, we're just gonna pretend racism never happened? We're not allowed to depict it in movies anymore? What the hell does that?
That's the
What kind of
thing. I feel
mess, man?
like with the statues too, not just the movies, like they're supposed to be there. I think the education behind them can be changed, but we shouldn't remove them.
Yeah.
Like they're there as a symbol that these things happened. It'd be
Hmm.
like the same reason for why we don't destroy the Auschwitz, the
Yeah, like
Holocaust
Auschwitz.
camps.
Yeah, what are they gonna bulldoze that next? You know?
But Jonesy, I think me and Richard have our thoughts, but what are you thinking?
Um, I don't know. I'm kind of in between, but I guess what I've seen this attributed to is like specifically with Confederate statues lately. A lot of people are suddenly finding out that these statues exist and then are suddenly taking pride in like the Confederacy and backing that up and saying that that's history and that's heritage and all that stuff. But I think they're taking pride in it for the wrong reasons.
Hmm.
I don't think a lot of these people are actually going to be history buffs or really care about any other historical items in the area, as long, because it doesn't conveniently fit their ideals. But
Hmm.
Hmm.
um, that's the part that bugs me, that interest that people take in those monuments.
For the wrong
I mean,
reason.
Yeah.
yeah, for the wrong reason. I think, I mean, if it's something that I, hearing it this way, if it's something that's up there to show, this happened and this shouldn't happen again, or just as a reminder of like, this was our history,
Yeah.
fine.
Hmm.
That's totally fine. But I it's just being taken to a different dimension now with that, to a different plane of just like, no, this is what I need to be proud of. I'm
Yeah.
proud that this happened.
But that's people's own like feelings. You can't really control that. That would be
Oh yeah,
something where we gotta be like a change in education to let people know
yeah.
who these people actually are. But the answer isn't remove the statues.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah. No,
Like,
so
Well,
yeah,
like, no, now looking back in history, like Columbus was not a cool cat, and what
yeah,
he did was not great. But that doesn't mean we should erase it from history and destroy every painting and statue of him. To me, it's the same thing as like people who find out an artist or a musician like did something messed up and
mm,
then just like throws away all of their books or their records or whatever it is that they created. To me, that's idiotic. Like, if a person does something bad, it doesn't nullify the things that they created or nullify their contributions, right?
mm,
Like, pretty much every single artist you've ever loved has probably done something dastardly in
yeah,
their life. And you can't just say, well, forget that dude. That's it. He's done. That dude's canceled. We're tearing down his statues. We're throwing out his albums. We're burning his books. We're
yeah,
not. We're not gonna. Are you kidding me, dude? James Brown beat women like notoriously, and people still love his music, right?
yeah.
So to me, you need to be able to have that separation. You should be able to separate the person from the event because you need to be able to look at it objectively. You need
Yeah.
to be able to say, this is what happened, and this is why we can't let it repeat, right? Especially when it comes to issues of race. You need to be able to say, this is what they did to people in the past,
Mm.
and we cannot let that happen again.
It also seems dangerous. I would say it's dangerous to just start accepting that we're gonna start deleting stuff that we don't like.
Yeah, because it sets a precedent. It's
Yeah,
basically like Me Too or cancel culture, and we're trying to apply it to the past. Like, we're trying
yeah.
to cancel Benjamin Franklin, or, like, we're trying to apply it to the past, and that's not, what's that gonna do?
Because you could, like right now in this situation, it's like, oh, we want to get rid of the Robert E. Lee. Yeah, maybe you could say Robert E. Lee wasn't a good guy. He was a Confederate. it's something we agree on right now.
Yeah,
You could easily switch that over. Oh, we're going to delete that part of history where we said you have freedom of speech, freedom of press. That never happened either.
it sets a precedent, and that becomes a larger issue.
Yeah.
So as far as destroying property and statues, I mean, I'm against that. I don't like the violence behind that, but to sort of play two sides here, right? So a statue, I guess the reason it was erected,
Mm.
would that be the original intent to honor that person or to show this happened here? Because
I think the original intent was to honor these people, especially in these in what were Confederate states in the original Southern. The way they used to split them up originally, they were probably monuments to these men. They were monuments to these people. And maybe the solution could be take it down and put it in a museum or something where there could be this discourse and it doesn't need to be a public work.
that's what I was getting at. Why can't this still be preserved in a historical setting in a museum somewhere else? Because, inversely, what if there was like a statue of Trump that was put up,
Hmm.
right? Obviously, it would be to like honor him if there was a statue made of him.
Hmm.
So, I mean, how would people handle that? Would that be okay to just have? Or should that be placed somewhere else? Or should it just be put in like some roundabout in Washington, D.C.? You just have this giant statue
Yeah.
of Trump, right? Like, I think so the intent of these monuments is sort of to glorify, to honor, to put this person in a good light if you're making a statue out of them. Or,
Hmm.
I mean, and I know that there's other statues that show suffering and pain and, the difficult times in history, but that's also to show like this is where we're at now. So I get that too, but I probably maybe the best solution here is, since I'm always like the one on the fence for everything, the compromise. Don't just take it down, don't just vandalize it, don't just destroy it, relocate it.
I
Put
would
it
say
somewhere.
not even relocate it. Like the intent was to make those guys seem great, but the history is that people thought that they were great at the time. The answer isn't to move it, they're historically there. The answer is to say, like, yeah, these people thought he was great, but these people also thought in a terrible thing about slavery that we could own people. It's like an opportunity to educate people based on where it is. It's not move it somewhere else. Because I think if you move it somewhere else, it could easily become something like cancel culture, where you move it to some place where no one's going to hear about it.